Welcome again to Cottage Talk Full Time. I'm Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Yannis and Max Cohen. This is our full-time show, which will actually be about an hour. So we're going to put a lot in this hour, talking about this 5-0 Fulham victory against West Ham. This is back-to-back 5-0 victories for Fulham at Craven Cottage. It's amazing. And we're going to be talking about this for the next hour. It's been a long time since I've done a show with these two guys. I've been looking forward to this all morning. The victory makes it sweeter. Max, I'm going to go to you first. Welcome back to the show. How you doing and how you feeling?
Thank you. I can't imagine a better recent stretch of Fulham matches in a long time. I mean, 2 5-0 wins at home in a row and just complete and total domination. This is Marco Silva at his very best. And he's had this team, which has struggled to score all season, scoring easily. And I think there are many reasons we're going to talk about that. But I want to shout out Jimenez. 3 goals in his past 2 matches. I was a big critic of him. He's coming good. He has his confidence flowing. And Iwobi. I love Alex Iwobi. I think he was at the heart of so much today. And those are 2 new signings. So, credit to the transfer business.
Okay, excellent stuff. Mr. Yannis, it's been a long time. How are you doing? And give me your opening thoughts.
It has been. I'm actually, after this show, I'm going down to Walmart to do a bit of shopping. And I'm going to get next to the tins of corned beef, there's the Spam. And the Spam tends to be wet. And that's going to be the focus of the day today. That was superb to watch. And it was superb on many, many levels. And I'm saying, look, that game up at Anfield last week was just outrageously brilliant.
Was that the catalyst to all this, Yannis, or was it even further back, the Wolves match?
I think it might have been the Wolves match, because the Wolves match, let's be honest here, I thought we caught a couple of breaks in that game. I don't think we were very good against the Wolves side. It caused us a lot of trouble, but we needed that win. It was timely, and we went to Anfield and we just threw it at the Wolves. And I thought, we were excellent. I thought we were superb against Forest. And today I thought we were even better. There was so much to love about it. And it's really good fun putting one over that lot, because they are dreadfully boring. They're 5 goals down and they're still trying to counterattack.
I know.
It's archaic dinosaurs. And you look at someone like Jared Bowen. I'm going to talk about Jared Bowen. Bowen, I thought, was magnificent today. And I looked at him, and he was playing him as in the number 9 position.
Right.
I'm thinking, this guy can do everything. He never stopped running for 90 minutes. If you don't have a player like that, and he's too good for the Spammers, you're in real trouble. They were gruesome. Good God in heaven. We could have scored 8 or 9.
It's funny. I agree with that. I think we could have scored 8 or 9 goals in this match, guys. And I'm going to share this with you. I want to get your thoughts before we really talk about what I want to talk about. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Steve Reynolds, and he's been messaging me about one criticism. Here's the one criticism. And actually, it happened in the match against Nottingham Forest as well. The fact that we have not started strong. It's taken us a while to get that opening goal, Yannis. But we take off once we get the opening goal. Why do you think Fulham started not strong against West Ham? We could even take it to the Nottingham Forest match, first 30 minutes. What is the common denominator? What happens after they score that first goal?
I just think it's the approach we take. Against Forest, Forest came out and asked a few questions early, and it gave us 10, 15 minutes, to send the feelers out and see what happens, and then we opened them up. I think today West Ham had a little bit of the momentum going with, what was a very good win for them at Tottenham on Thursday. And let them, blow their steam out. It was Moyes called it his greatest ever win at West Ham, and it was all, super win. And to me, the comments, as he prepared for the game, said, it's Fulham. We've not, lost to them in 14. We managed to find a couple of players again that can handball it and nobody can see it. We just don't seem to have any luck. They're our red herring team. We just, and the goal, I think, just hit them for 6 because it came from really out of nothing.
Right.
And then they just carried on. They're boring. We're going to be dull and think we're going to be Tottenham, do what we did to Tottenham, except we kept on the front foot, and they really had no answer for it.
Interesting. Over to you, Max. I want to get your thoughts on this, because I think if there's a negative common denominator, it would be the start in these last two matches. Now, obviously, you score 5 goals in both of these matches. That's a small criticism, but I understand where it's coming from because you're trying to think, why are they not on the front foot like they were against, say, Wolves? Why were they not on the front foot? I think the opponents have something to do with it. What are your thoughts about that, and also the reaction after that?
I think it's all about confidence. And what we've seen in the past week or so is that this club thrives when they know they can play well. And I think that's, as soon as that first goal comes in all the matches, the floodgates are opened. It all stems back to Anfield, I think, totally. We saw we could play at the big boys. I mean, we really should have won. Really should have won. And against the team who might win the league this year, we gave them a good shout for 90 minutes. Then Marco said to the players, I think, look, now you have 2 home matches against teams who are winnable. If you can put 3 against Liverpool and Anfield, why not put 5 against Forest and West Ham? And he gave them the belief. And you're right, the first 30 minutes weren't the best in both matches, but once that first goal came, we just kept going.
Opens up.
It never occurred to any of the players to sit back and protect what we had. It never occurred to be conservative. It was always pressing. And I think the way we play now, with the wingers pushing up, with Jimenez dropping back and facilitating play, and with Kearney, Tom Kearney, having a renaissance in his 30s in the Premier League, finally getting a run of starts, and he's healthy. We look so fluid. And I think, the narrative early on this year was we couldn't score goals, and it was so worrying. But it's sometimes in football, it's as simple as you get over that hump, and then you stop thinking about it, and you're not in your head anymore. And now it's easy. I mean, 3 against Wolves, 3 against Liverpool, 5 against Forest, 5 against West Ham. It's like we're talking about us in the Championship 2 years ago, and this is the Premier League.
What's interesting, guys, I don't know if you check this out. Our goal differential right now is 0. Yeah, 0. Right. And think about how it was 10. It was minus 10. It's now 0. That is massive. That also tells you the direction that they're going. So very good thoughts on that. Okay, guys, before we really break down this match, I just want to talk in general terms. Yannis, I'll give you first crack at this. We talked about this a little bit before we went live. I think that there are a few reasons. I think there's one main reason, which I think we're all going to be in agreement on, but what are the reasons for the amount of goals in the last 4 matches? You could go to Kearney. I could go to a consistent starting 11, maybe even Pereira, Jimenez. There are so many ways we can go on this, but for you, what are some of the reasons why we are seeing so many goals?
I think I'm going to throw a couple of other teams in the mix here. I'm going to say Tom Kearney, because Tom Kearney's been magnificent. Yep. But I tell you what, it's a fun time to be in the Premier League right now. I've got to take my hat off to Bournemouth and Everton for a sec.
Okay.
Bournemouth are in absolutely cracking form right now. I know I thought they were brilliant against United. The pundits are going to talk about United or this. No. Could have been 4. And I thought that their midfield right now, and especially with Solanke holding the line, he provides a lot of confidence for them moving forward, and he does a good job dropping back. Kearney provides the calm, and he doesn't ever really look ruffled. And then you look at Everton right now and the way that Doucouré is playing for them. I think the 3 players have one thing in common. The 3 individual players have collectively given their teams a lot of confidence. And that's why it's great to see, with the Everton story getting deducted 10 points, they would be above us right now if it wasn't for the 10 points. Right. Bournemouth is scoring goals for fun and looking really dangerous. We are playing like the Brazil of 82 before they played against Italy and Rossi. And it's great for the game. Kearney is just magnificent. I mean, he just makes it look easy. He slows it down. And one thing, to go look into the transfer window, as we're looking for players, I think that the club now really need to look at the Kearney position in terms of, because he's not going to be with us forever, but looking to bed in someone of a similar ilk that can do. So that right now, I think, based on Kearney's performances last few games, we've got to really take a close look at. There'll be a few players out there. We've got money in the bank. And luckily, with the way Jimenez is playing, we're not A, talking about Mitra, and B, are we talking about replacements up front?
Interesting stuff there, Yannis. Okay, over to you, Max. Before I do, I'm going to share this comment from Black, White, and Fred. This is his thoughts on what we're talking about. I think the change has been shifting from 2 holding players to 1. TC and AP both playing in advanced roles either side of the pitch has opened up our attack. Over to you, Max. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the season, the conversation was, is it Kearney or Pereira? And now we've seen they can play together. I think that's a really good point, that when you have those two players, it's a more forward-thinking Fulham. And Pereira, I think, had been poor in recent weeks, but maybe he just needs another attacking player to unlock him and give him more space on the ball. Paulinho was excellent again today. We haven't mentioned him.
Excellent.
Having him back is crucial. But I think it's the wingers, really, because this team thrives in the wide play. They always have. And with Willian on the form he's in, with Harry Wilson chipping, I mean, maybe goal of the season for Fulham with that. What a shot. These, and it's, for me, it's a Iwobi as well. When they make the runs inside, it opens up the fullbacks. It's the way Marco likes to play. And we can let our creative players, play off them. There's always runs. It's always fluid.
Okay, excellent stuff. And the one thing I want to ask you about Iwobi, Max, is, and I keep hearing the commentary, how wide he is, and that sets everything up, how extremely wide he is. What are your thoughts about what he has brought? Someone actually mentioned this to me. I got a message from my friend Tony Gold, who said, a concern for us will be the African Cup of Nations. Okay. And I think that's legitimate. Because of the play of Iwobi and Calvin Bassey. But what are your thoughts? Just going back and talk about Iwobi, what he has meant.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. He starts out wide and can cut in a lot of times, what he's doing today. He's just a handful. He's a player which I think we've been crying out for in the Premier League, is someone who just makes things happen. Because too often, I think, we were just static. And it was very one-dimensional, passing in front of the back four, maybe crosses being lofted in. But he's always on the move. And when he gets to the byline, he can also pick out a nice cross too. He has composure. He has an eye for a final ball. He's all action, and I love him. And I think that was a great signing at the time. Didn't get a lot of support because people were focused on Mitro leaving, Paulinho almost leaving. But I think he's a breath of fresh air.
Totally agree. Back over to you, Yannis. I got something that I wanted to ask you about that I think goes along with this as well. I think the goals continue to flow because we have options off the bench too. So what's great about this, and I'm going to get your thoughts about the starting 11, and is this our best starting 11 right now? Because he can bring players off the bench and there's no drop off. He brings in Harry Wilson, scores a goal. He brings on Harrison Reed, sets up a goal. There are a lot of options. Foda Ballatore is able to come in and really there's no drop off at left back. You can bring in Kenny Tete at right back. Do we have more depth than we thought we did? I know that we need more players in January. That's going to be key to taking us to the next level. But could Fulham having the ability to mix and match a little bit help with the scoring of the goals as well?
Indeed, and one of the stories that sort of nipped by is the fact that Tim Ream wasn't in the 18. I mean, when was the last time he wasn't in the 18 apart from being injured? And I think that's very telling. He could have a niggle or whatever. The African Nations Cup is going to be an issue, and so be it. But you're right. We've got a lot of. We now look like we've got strength in depth. The breadth, in terms of the starting 11, I think this is now the strongest starting 11. Although I love Kenny Tete. But Castanha's done nothing. Castanha's been superb. So he's done nothing to warrant being dropped. But with the games coming up, and I don't think Silva won't admit to this because we've got Newcastle next week. But he's got one eye on the Everton game, and this is the lineup I expect us to play in the Carabao quarterfinal. I think he's going to go with the strongest lineup because he knows this is a fantastic opportunity to get to Wembley. And Everton are playing very well, so it should be an absolute ding-dong of a game. But I think in the league, this would be the one. I don't think I feel bad for Sasha Lukic because the switch to the two attacking midfielders means he loses up. I feel bad for Harrison Reed. He's not done anything wrong. No. I mean, Diop still has to come back in. Thank God Bassey goes to the left because he looks much more comfortable. Tosin is still, had a good game today, but he's still trying to get the match fitness. The fullbacks do their job. I mean, wherever you're going, you're looking at attacking threats, and the best form of defense is always going to be attack. So I think this is the lineup he should settle with. And Newcastle are losing right now,
I know. I'm watching it. It's on right now.
I don't know. There's an outside chance I'm going to be able to go to the game next week.
Wow.
Because my kid just moved. She's just bought her her first house she lives in Newcastle, as you know.
Yeah.
And her partner is a season ticket holder, but does not want to go and watch that game. So,
wow.
So I'm thinking of making the trip. Going to be great. Kill two birds with one stone. And Newcastle are struggling right now.
They are
with a lot of injuries, and I think it's a game we can go and win. Frankly, especially with this lineup. So I'd stick with this lineup as it is. We're going to get injuries. We'll get absentees, but at least we've got some depth. But again, a couple more players maybe at the transfer deadline will certainly help us, especially if Tosin. Because there's the thing about if Tosin's going to sign an extension, and at the moment he hasn't signed one.
Good point there, Yannis. Okay, Max, I want to get your thoughts, but I also want to go back, and I saw this comment from Lily here, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Okay, here it is. Jedi rampaging down the left flank and actually putting dangerous balls into the box has opened up the midfield, making the opposition respect the left wing and not crowd the middle. What are your thoughts on that? And then your thoughts on the starting 11.
Yeah, it's a great point by Lily that Robinson, for so long, right? Where's the end product? Where's the final ball? And in the past month or so, maybe it was an international break with the USA when he scored that great goal. That gave him the confidence, but he's starting to actually pick out players for a change, which is a total change from what we saw earlier. You're right. And fullbacks can no longer just let him give him that kind of space. They have to respect it. As the comment said, I like that a lot. Maybe it's the beach blonde hair. You know, he got the Wilson, Ken, look from the summer, a little bit belated, but it's working for him. The starting 11, I think it's simple. You know, if you beat two teams 5-0 in a row, you don't change it. So
right.
That's my take.
Okay, the only thing, and going back to Yannis, I think it's very harsh on someone like Kenny Tete. So, but how do you change something that is working like this?
If Lily's absolutely, she's made a couple of great comments here. If I've got one criticism of Jedi,
okay, go ahead.
I'm going to stand by this one. He's so quick that when he beats that right back, I'd really like to see him cut in towards goal. And the cutback is going to be is effective, but why not? You've beaten that man. Take it yourself, man. Draw the defenders. You're going to have that right-sided centre-back that's going to have to sweep because you've lost their right back. Ask questions of them. Drag them across. Because now once he beats that last man, the thinking is he going to cross it first time? Is he taking a couple of steps, then crossing it? Is he going to cut it, northwest to southeast for somebody coming to the edge of the box? Or is he going to try and take it and drag the keeper across as well? Little chip to the far post. I think that's the one chink in the armory I'd like to see him bring in. He's so quick, he just flies past them. Cutting yourself, son. Cutting yourself. Use that trusty little foot. Nice little smash into the box. He goes out and save it. They call the sniffer-Rooney goals, 1 yard out. Who cares? Like the Luton goal, right? The Luton goal was a great example of that.
Exactly.
Something like that. I think if he can do that, then he's going to cause even more fits because teams just won't know how to handle his distribution. So that's the only criticism I have. Apart from that, I thought he had an excellent game today.
Okay, I'm going to share some comments about this subject. This is from Carl Tanner. Jedi did try that and nearly scored against Liverpool. Lily followed up. Once he does that, he'll be certified world class.
Yes, agreed.
Interesting. Very good there. And Black, White, and Fred. Jedi has started drifting inside when Willian is out wide, which is new as well. So maybe he is really working on his game, Max. Your thoughts about Jedi?
Yeah, I think all those are very accurate. He's someone who has amazing physical attributes. The pace is second to none. And almost, as Yannis is saying, once he beats, he's almost too quick for his own good.
Yeah.
It feels like when he's dribbling the ball, it's not under control because he's moving so quickly. And he never really seems in control. But recently, I think we've seen that change. And instead of moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, he can kind of look up and find someone. So who would have thought that would be saying that, without Mitro? Because Mitro is such a big target in there, which he combined well with at times. But even without that, I think he's had his head up looking not just for a chip in to the back post, which, 9 times out of 10, the keeper would claim that. Now it's more driven balls, hoping for an own goal or a redirection.
Okay, excellent stuff. I'm going to share this comment. We've got so many coming in. This is from Ayaz. He says, Kearney starting and getting minutes is standout for me. Thank you for sharing, my friend. And here's another comment from our friend Carl Tanner. He says, I don't think Jedi will ever be world-class. He lacks the fine technical ability, but he can be very good left back, and we should be happy with that. Well, you never know. If he works at his game, Yannis, maybe he will get to that stage.
Yeah,
I understand where Carl's coming on because he sees the limitations, but I don't know. I'm a believer that players can get better.
How old is Jedi? 23?
I'm not sure. Do you know what the age is, Max? Off the top of your
No,
head?
I mean, it sounds right. 24, 25 is what I'd say.
He's a baby. He's got
26.
He's got a long. He's got a ways to go because he's still 25. So he's still filling into his body, and as he starts to lose pace, he's going to pick up more nuance in his game. He's going to realize that he can't. He's not going to be like that's why Kyle Walker has really improved as a player.
Right.
He's dynamite quick, but as he's lost his pace, he's picked up his smarts, and I think that Jedi will do that. And we better watch out transfer window because he's a player that's don't tell me teams out there looking at him and going, oh God, attacking fullback. And it's funny because with all the teams struggling with injuries, City are having some problems. Newcastle are in all sorts of trouble. Tottenham have had a lot of problems. Lots of teams are doing this moaning thing. Oh, these injuries. Or I was watching the game today, the spammers, Tony Gale made a very, very good point on the commentary when he said, talk about all these games. You get to play at this level. Right, you get to it's not the practices, it's the games. So you play 3 games in a week. That's what you live to do, is to play. Don't moan. Play the ruddy game. Every team has injuries. Every team has suspensions. We went up to Anfield, and we just lost. We didn't have Paulinho for the Wolves game. Did it matter? No, it didn't.
No,
you just move on with whatever you've got. That's why you have the big clubs have the depth, and we don't. So here's a thought. Give teams like us and Everton and Bournemouth and Luton, I'm even going to say Luton, because Luton have had 2 super games in a week.
Right.
Give us credit for the size of the clubs and what we do that we can compete. As opposed to, United lost to Bournemouth. How can you lose to the Cherries? No, you got stuffed, man. Stuffed by a much better side with all your millions. And a stadium with only 11,000 down at Dean Court. So, it's that's a bit of a rant. But
that's okay, Yannis. It's okay for a rant, and I
will day. Yes.
To actually just add to that, because I actually read a lot of stuff in the lead up to this match, and when you read some of the West Ham stuff, I mean, I'm just saying, just in general, I could tell that there was this confidence. I understand the confidence, but I could also tell when fans of other sides have not watched Fulham, that don't understand and not seeing what we're seeing. I'm glad that you brought up Bournemouth. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Everton, because I don't like that Everton are in the situation that they are because of the points deduction. Okay. I don't like that. That's just me. I think you can look at other sides and question, I don't know, maybe Chelsea and a team like Manchester City, maybe question them. What?
They're below us. They're below us. So are Brentford. They're below us as well.
I know.
We're the best team in West London. That's brilliant.
Giannis, I was talking about their financial situation.
Financial, my man. Hey, and Chelsea, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if they got deducted points and City lose 7,000 points and end up playing Accrington Stanley's B team? Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great, Yannis. I'm all for that. I'm all for it. Okay. Coming up next in the second half of the show, we're going to break down this match, and it should be fun to talk about the goals. If you're watching live, I definitely want at the end of the show your thoughts on man of the match. Okay, guys, let's get to it. Let's talk about the first half. I mentioned in the beginning that I thought West Ham came out fairly strong, had a couple of opportunities. And before we talk about Fulham's goals, Yannis, I want to get your thoughts on a fear of mine heading into this match.
I
His
think I
name's
know.
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. Yeah.
Okay. So this
Yeah,
was a huge concern of mine that they could not let him affect the game on set pieces. Well, he certainly did. Thankfully, Leno made a nice save. And then, of course, he had a couple more opportunities. But what are your thoughts about the opening stages when you actually had an opportunity from James Ward-Prowse and a nice save from Leno?
Well, I said earlier, they came out with some vim and vigor after the Tottenham game, and with good reason. I mean, it's a difficult place to play, and you've had 4% of the possession, and somehow you got two goals. That was a super shot by Ward-Prowse. He's the problem. I mean, it was a very good save because it was an in swinger. The thing about Ward-Prowse, unfortunately, and I do think he should be there or thereabouts in the England squad, is that people say he's a one-trick pony. He's a dead ball specialist, and he is. But he's the best we've got. But today, if you looked at that midfield, I mean, it was a super save. And what makes me laugh about Leno? Leno makes a save and he's laughing. He's like Pickford. He's having a giggle. He's saying, "Is that the best you've got? Come on, Woody. You scored on me last year for Southampton, and we remember that was a fantastic goal. Not this time, mate. You're wearing claret and blue, so you might as well be a Burnley player. I'm not going to say Villa because Villa are playing tremendously at the moment. So that was a timely save certainly at the right time. But their midfield, they've got some quality, but I didn't really see a lot of shape. And I'm sorry, they're boring. They're a boring club. They're a boring team. They bore you to death. And they do have players of quality that can change games, and they do have players of quality that can be exciting. Paqueta's another one who's a good player.
Yep.
But oh dear, you're 5 goals down and you still counter-attacking. Like what? Moyes, go back and see the T-Rexes with Mark Bolan. I mean, honestly, what are you doing, man? So, but it was a good save. It was a good save, and I was glad because we know as well as anybody how dangerous JWP can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share this because, yes, I'm aware of this. There's something wrong with my camera. I'm very aware of this. I'm aware of this. It's my computer. I've tried to fix it many times. There's something wrong with my camera, so I'm sorry about that.
No, there's nothing wrong with the camera. It's just that you've got a new what do they call that? It's an optical thing. It's glaze. It's the glaze.
A glaze? It's a glaze. Okay. All right. Let's move on, guys. Let's talk about Raul's opening goal, and I'll give you the chance to talk about it there, Max. Let's talk about the opening goal, which was set up beautifully by a great cross from, I think, Fulham's best player. So let's talk about the opening goal from Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, Palhinha just throttles into a couple tackles before this in the only way that he can, which is full-blooded. We'd love to see that from him. And then there's nothing on, really, when he picks up the ball 25, 30 yards from goal. But the cross is top class because Jimenez, all he has to do is just glance it, direct it on target, and it's in because there's so much pace on it. And when I first saw Palhinha shape up for it, I thought he was shooting. Like
that's
the position he did against Leeds in the FA Cup last season. But to see it perfectly fly off Jimenez's head was a great feeling. And it did come out of nowhere. It felt very like a bolt from the blue. The nature of the goal, the timing of it, and everything. But it was a perfect kickstart. And what a header from Jimenez. I mean, if I'd fractured my skull, 3 years ago,
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
I would never go for a header again. And then he's just fearless. I wish anyone knew, I don't know if you guys know, what the benefit of the thing he wears is. Because I know it has to do something with lessening some impact. But it just looks like an eye patch, really, when he put it on for the celebration. But I don't know. It was a great header.
Okay, so what's interesting about this, Yannis, because now I'm going to talk about the second goal from William, which many players are involved in this whole situation. Obviously, the shot from Iwobi, and it goes beyond that, and William basically finishes everything up. But it's the kickstart after this. All of a sudden, Fulham, the floodgates are starting to open. They're even more aggressive. It doesn't come down to confidence after they score the first goal. I'm curious your thoughts on it, and then let's talk about the goal from William.
I was going to say for the that goal by Raul, I was sitting on my couch and there were names that came to mind when that goal went in. I was thinking of players like, I'm going to go back to some of the oldie people here.
Go ahead.
But Hans Krankel and Horst Hrubesch and, Antonin Panenka, Martin Chivers, Bob Latchford, Malcolm McDonald. These were Bobby Charlton. These were people who were absolutely fantastic in the air. When they connected. That took me back so many years. I was thinking Malcolm McDonald. Malcolm McDonald was one of the best centre forwards I ever saw in the air. He was utterly brilliant for Newcastle, utterly brilliant for Arsenal. The only player to ever scored 5 goals in a game for England, and he was unstoppable. The cross from Palhinha was so mint, and that header was so sharp. There's no keeper in the world who would have stopped it. It was honestly, it gave me goosebumps. Because it was old-fashioned footy at its absolute finest. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal. The second goal, the Spammers looked at 6s and 7s in terms of the defending. And again, Iwobi's causing all sorts of trouble. And it's that knockback. And Raul was a bit unlucky because of the timing of his run. It went just behind him. But William was just standing there looking like he's having a smoke. And because the 4 defenders are dragged across, all he literally needed to do was pass it into the bottom left-hand corner of Fabianski. And really, I think at that point, you couldn't really argue because there seemed to be an acute lack of communication at the back for them today. And to me, it always starts with the keeper. And I've never really been a fan of Fabianski. And it just looked like they were at 6s and 7s. They took some gambles today. Cresswell.
Yes, that was a gamble.
Was a super player when he's fit, but he's not been able to get in there. Again, I'm not so sure about Zuma. I've never forgiven him for the cat episodes. I don't particularly think he's a very good centre-back. And we really stretched their fullbacks. And that was a classic example where they were nowhere to be seen. Once that second goal went in, I thought, we're going to hammer this lot. No pun intended. But we're going to hammer them. They're not coming back. They're not, because the thing about Moyes, the old adage to change is difficult, not to change is fatal. Moyes doesn't change. They're 2 goals down. He's still trying to do the counter attack. Yep. 11 men behind the ball. It's feeble. Yeah, the teams that he did great at Everton. He was unlucky at United. But man, come on. So as Tony Gale said, so you're 3 goals down. Attack. So you got a goal. You get a goal back. You got a big game against Freiburg in the Europa League on Thursday. Get a bit of confidence back into the blood. But no, he kept the same old. He's a dinosaur coach.
Yeah, he is.
Marco, on the other hand, is almost kamikaze-like. But as someone like Angie Postecoglou gets, a lot of plaudits, and quite wonderfully so for the style. Same with Marco. It's exciting to watch. It's great for the neutral. And I thought when that second goal went in from Willian, who was causing them trouble already, I thought it was a matter of time before we got third.
Okay. And Max, that's going to lead me to go back to you and talk about the third goal. What's great about this is that I don't think Fulham have been great on set pieces this season like they were last season. Well, Tosin comes back into the side, and he was dominant in the air and basically made it happen here, my friend. Talk about the third goal, which at this point, honestly, I think put the match away in the first half with the goal from Tosin. Your thoughts on the third goal?
Yeah, it's a great leap. First and foremost, he gets up over Zuma, who's a tall lad, and you wouldn't want to get in between Zuma and a cat, let alone a center back leaping for the header. So great goal, and 2 falls in the line, and he can't even do anything. That's how well placed the header is. That it sets the pace. All he can do is flick it back, and it's his own net. So it didn't feel real, honestly, to be 3-0 up at the half. The goals just kept, and it was so easy, There was so little resistance from West Ham. I mean, they had one shot I can think of in the first, the Ward Prowse shot and maybe a Bowen snapshot, and that's it.
Yep.
It was so simple, Russ. And that was the best part for Fulham, is that we were cruising.
Max.
When he scored 3 goals at home in the first half, it's astounding, but it didn't even feel that amazing. It felt like we deserved it, and that's just how we were going to pick off from Wednesday's win.
Right. And guys, this is one thing that I'm not going to accept, okay? I'm not going to accept that West Ham had this huge victory, and that's what it caused what we saw today. Okay. I'm not going to accept that Fulham played on Wednesday. I don't want the excuse here that they were tired, that it was tired legs. Well, Fulham played the same starting 11, Yannis. They didn't look tired. So I don't want to hear those excuses. I think you'll agree with me on that.
And that's right, because there's a confidence. I mean, Forest were grim. Let's be honest. They're grim. I mean, but then again, I'm scratching my head that Morgan Gibbs-White doesn't get to start.
Yeah.
This player doesn't get to start. Like, what are you thinking? But nonetheless, 5-0 win, you get the confidence. We're playing the Spammers. We don't have a lot of success against them, but we're at home. Fans are going to be up for it. It's a 2:00. Praise the Lord. It's a 2:00 kickoff. Let's go out and give it a go. We've got a bit of confidence. We've had a couple of good weeks playing good football. We've not won all our games, but we've played well. Let's go out and enjoy the occasion. And if we play the way that we know we can, we'll get something out of this. And confidence is, there's nothing truer than if you're at the bottom and you're not winning games and you don't have confidence, nothing goes right for you. You lament it and you lament referee calls and all sorts of stuff, but the rub of the green just doesn't work. And when you're playing, everything seems to go right. And for us, for example, for me, you think of 2 consecutive clean sheets.
Yes.
But being able to bring 5 subs on, giving Balotelli, some time, getting BDR on, getting Reedy Poos on, this is important stuff, and the confidence in the squad must be very high. And it's great that we get to play, of all teams, Newcastle, because when I think of Newcastle, I think of our game in '82, and I know Ivor and Robbo will be probably listening to this, when they won 4-1 up there. And I was at the game, and that's one of the best performances I've ever seen from a Fulham team. We tend to play well up there. It's our longest journey of the season. If he keeps this lineup, we can get 3 points up there. And then all of a sudden, we're 5 points behind Newcastle now.
I know.
5.
I know. It's crazy, Yannis.
This is great. So keep the settled lineup. And then let's go up there and have some fun. I think he has his lineup now.
Yep.
But there are going to be a few bumps along the way, especially the African nations. And that Christmas schedule and it's tougher for us, I think, because we've got the Christmas schedule like everybody does. But then we've got the Carabao quarterfinal on the 19th.
Okay.
So
very good.
A lot of football to play.
I have to share this comment. I love this comment. Bit harder for West Ham when they can't use their hands. I love that.
Oh, and you know what? One more thing. Can I bitch about something else? Going back to Fabianski.
Go ahead.
Wasn't Fabianski in goal when Lookman tried the Panenka?
I don't know. That's a great question,
was it
Max.
Who was in there? You remember this, Max? Oh, we lost him. I can't remember. Was it?
Yeah.
And he was goading him afterwards. I mean, I was pissed with Lookman because you remember how bad that was. But good. And Max is back. Max, was it Fabianski in net when Lookman tried the Panenka?
Yeah, no, I think it was. It was 2020, so it should have been. And we had Areola.
I see him smiling now, eh? Yeah, bring it on.
Okay. I'm just going to share some comments, guys, before we talk about the second half. I've got some very interesting comments that I think I want everyone to see. So this is from our friend Black, White, and Fred. My girlfriend called another 5-0 after the second win in. I told her she was dreaming. Well, she was right on that.
She's a keeper, Black, White, and Fred. She's a keeper.
She's a keeper. She's a keeper. This is from Steve Turner. I was at the Crabtree with my dad pregame, and he said, score prediction. I flippantly said 5-0. I just had a gut feeling. He said it was trapped win, but I wish I put a bet on when it got to full time. I was kicking myself. So again, we got some very good comments there. Let's see. This is from Lily again. Keep them coming, tired legs, because their heads dropped and left after the second goal. Third goal made them totally check out. Maybe Lily. So guys, let's move on. Let's talk about the second half. Max, I'll go to you. One of the factors starting the second half was, let's call it, and I haven't heard anything yet, was the that William went off injured. So what are your thoughts when Harry Wilson came on to start the second half?
Yeah, I was surprised because William did go down, but then he came back on after at the end of the first half and didn't seem anything too amiss. But Wilson, he scored against Liverpool. He's on good form. I mean, had the assist
Yes.
right against Forest, if I remember correctly, and you could tell that he had a point to prove from that turn with Zuma, and when he was through on goal and just put it right at Fabianski, you thought, oh, he's in the mood. And when you just back off him like that for that fourth goal, it can produce something special. So I'm delighted for Wilson. He's another player who's found it hard to start in the Premier League, and I think still has to prove himself time after time again that he's not just a really good championship player. They can cut it in the Prem. And with goals like that, he deserves more of a shout. I don't think he deserves a start just yet, but he has to be the first player off the bench for me.
Okay, excellent. And Yannis, I'll give you the chance to talk a little bit more about Harry Wilson, because this was a top shelf goal. Let's call it what it is. Your thoughts on Fulham's fourth goal from Harry Wilson?
I would have said that the best goal I'd seen this weekend was McAtee's goal for Sheffield United against the Fodder. But this was better. This was a fantastic. And this is what he does do. And again, this is a confidence thing. He's been playing very, very well for Wales, and it's been tough for him because you've got Willian and you've got Iwobi. So I mean, how do you break in but for an injury? But to be fair to Wilson, he came on and Wilson has scored a worldie. And it was no less than he deserved. And that's one thing, I'm looking at the BBC comments and there's been a lot of fans who come forward saying, Fulham was superb, and then there's the salty spammers, like the wet spam, which tends to be salty, saying, but you have to give credit where it's due.
Right.
If we play well, give us kudos. If we stink the joint outs, do what you're going to do.
Right, rip us apart.
But a lot of that's funny because a lot of the spammers are upset not so much with the result, but the fact that it was negative from 1 to 90.
The entire match.
No, time. And you had the lone striker, Bowen, who probably covered twice as much ground as any of their players. And he cut a really frustrated figure. And it was just a shame because he's a very, very good player. And I thought he did a great job there with no support. But we're playing well. And it's not just little old Fulham. We're in 10th. We're in the top half of the table. And Chelsea are down in 11th. And the Fodder are in 12th. The Lego lot. Yeah, it's great. And Mal, can I just say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Max, help me on this one. And actually, those of you watching now, please help me. What's it about these gruesome away kits this year? Can we just talk about this? What was I looking at yesterday? Arsenal's Bournemouth in the week when they won a Palace.
Wait a minute, do you not like what I'm wearing?
Oh, no, because because that's I've got the same jersey. It's a straight color. Look at Brentford's. What the heck is that? What color is that? What colours are they? Keep it simple. I mean, honestly, who's going to spend 70 quid on that? Except maybe as a table mat. No, I wouldn't either. There you go.
Okay, yeah. So you're in rare form. All right.
Fine.
Okay. The one thing that I want to mention, I'm glad that Yannis brought this up. Listen, they even changed the formation, Yannis, and it was still negative. So it's so funny. They went to a back three and it was still negative. There was still...
I thought it was naive, Russ. I thought it was naive. They're not a back three team. They've tried that before. It doesn't work. They have to have the twin full backs.
Yeah.
It was a silly move. Were you really going to play a 3-1, 3-2 and playing Kudus up front with Bowen? There was about as much chemistry as a live rabbit and a bottle of sulfuric acid. There was nothing.
Jeez.
And Bowen at times was looking over going, what am I playing with here? What is going on? I keep on going about him. He really surprised me today because he's been on the periphery of the England squad.
Yeah.
And if Gareth Southgate takes a look, they talk about, replacements for Harry Kane and who do you put in? But this kid is not as big. But he says hard at working, and his first touch was surprisingly good. And if I were the spammers, I'd watch out because much like a John McGinn at Villa,
yeah,
it's not going to be long before the real biggies come in because these two players are playing out of their socks right now, and the big clubs have the money, right?
They do. All right, good stuff. And boy, I missed Yannis. I missed you too, Max. This is just too much fun. So let's end with we'll end with man of the match. Before we do that, let's talk about the fifth goal. At this point, I wasn't expecting a fifth goal, and I thought at first blush he might have been offside, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He was completely onside, Harry Wilson. So thoughts on the fifth goal, and Carlos Vinicius scores again. We have another striker that scores a goal, Max.
I know. What a ball by Harrison Reed. Because he just whips it. And you think at one point that Wilson's not made the right run, but the ball, when he looks over his shoulder, ends up right in front of him. And I thought he was off too. He seemed miles off, but really it was just terrible marking by West Ham. I mean, they gave up at that point. That was, I think, the worrying thing, if I'm going to be David Moyes, is that the team threw in the towel completely. I think it's almost like in a tennis match when the player knows he's going to lose a set, so he just stops trying. And they knew they had that big Europa League match. They said, what's the point anymore? And you can't do that in the Premier League. That's inexcusable. But Wilson benefited and very unselfish. I like that. He already had his goal.
Yeah.
He could have easily shot, but he said, you know what? My mate Carlos is there. He needs confidence. He needs to stop headbutting people and start scoring goals. And I think what Vinicius needs to realize is that scoring goals is fun, right? He's a player who loves a smile on his face all the time. It's not fun when he gets set off for headbutting or elbowing someone in the face like he tried to do. I think it was Thiago Silva. He just needs to enjoy the game more because he has these moments of anger, but he's also such a happy-go-lucky guy in every other phase of life, in my opinion. So Marco needs to sit him down and just counsel him, because if Vinicius can score, I think he's a great backup option. If not, Muniz is knocking on the door.
That's right. I just want to mention this, guys, because I do have on my screen as we're doing this live, and Yannis, you probably already know this, Tottenham are now up 3-0 to Newcastle United.
Well,
in case you didn't know. So this is going to be Fulham's next opponent at St. James's Park, but they have a lot of injuries.
They have to play Bayern Munich this week. They have to play Bayern Munich on Wednesday. Yes.
I would not count this as 3 points if I'm a Newcastle United supporter against Fulham. I would not do that right now. I definitely wouldn't do that. All right, guys, let's end this show with Man of the Match. If you are watching live, feel free to share your Man of the Match. I've seen some of the comments, but they're pretty far up, so feel free to share your comments on Man of the Match. I'll get us started. Guys, I'm going to go with Tom Kearney as Man of the Match. That's where I'm going to go. I truly believe that he has been the difference in everything that's going on. I can't believe I'm saying this because I never thought that we would have this type of player, Yannis. And I might say, even in a short period of time, this might be his best form, which is crazy because he was at times dominant for Fulham. But Tom Kearney, for me, is Man of the Match. That's who I'm going Man of the Match. Max, I'll go to you.
I got to go Iwobi. I just think his energy was what we needed. But, I mean, you could go with 6 or 7 players, honestly. There's no wrong answers today.
No, there isn't. There isn't. So you're going with Iwobi. Let's see what we got here. We got Emerald says Tom Kearney Man of the Match for his calming influence. And Black, White, and Fred says Tom Kearney for me. Zhao was excellent as well, and so was Iwobi. Keep them coming. Yannis, over to you.
Well, Steve Turner, as an aside, talked about the worst kits. And he said that apparently the Carlisle United away kit is bad. He says the Carlisle is the worst in any league. He showed me a Google image, and you guys need to Google it, and you'll agree. I have seen it, and it's horrendous. What is that? Carlisle, what are you doing? I know you're in Cumbria. I know you're 400 miles away from the nearest town, but why are you subjecting your fans to buying that? Horrendous. Man of the Match. Oh, Max is right. I mean, so many. I'm going to give it to Kearney because I think I posted on a few Facebook. This guy has only 2 caps for Scotland.
Right.
I mean, doesn't that tell you something? And we spent $3 million on him 8 years ago. And today the quality he showed, and he buys the time. You know, the best players make the game look easy. Football is an easy game, but extremely tough to play well. And he makes a tough game look very easy. Always calm. I love the fact that he's never more than 10, 15 yards away from where the ball is. He keeps it simple. And I've noticed in the last couple of games, much more physical. There was one challenge he actually did on Bowen in the second half on near the right-hand corner flag or to the left of Fabianski. And I thought, whoa, It's a really crunching chance. Good chance, not a foul, good tackle. So he's the club captain, and he's playing like the club captain, and it's great to have him out there. It truly is.
Absolutely great stuff. Okay, I'm going to share this comment, and I want to get your thoughts on this. This is from Lily. So many players to choose from. I'm going to pick Andreas because his return to form needs to be highlighted. Max, what are your thoughts about this? Because I've been critical of him. I think everyone's been critical of him, but maybe it's that Tom Kearney is now involved, that it's opened him up. I don't know, but I think we need to highlight Andreas. I'm glad that Lily mentioned that.
Yeah, how about his back heel to Iwobi in the first half? And I mean, that the touch of class Andreas can bring is no one on our side possesses that except him. I mean, he's just a better version of Ward Prowse when you think about it. Dead ball specialist, much more involved in the actual play.
Okay, very funny. All right, let's go to Ayaz. He says, Iwobi always showing for the ball, helping the defense get the ball forward. I totally agree. This is an interesting one. This is from my friend Steve Reynolds. Paul Tierney for letting the game flow as a ref. Yannis, your thoughts on that?
I thought he had a very good game. I mean, he could have given a number of yellow cards, and he just let the players play. And when he needed to chat, he talked to the players. I agree with Steve. I thought he had a very good game. Not man of the match, because it wouldn't be man. It would never be man of the match, because the only person that would ever get man of the match, other than the players, would have to be Billy.
Okay.
And I didn't see Billy. Did anybody see Billy today? I didn't see Billy. No electric boogaloo in the corner.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't see him. No.
Okay.
I hope he's okay.
He's at the wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Okay, very good. All right. This is from Steve Turner. TC, easy calmness, leadership, Alex Iwobi, energy, power, and athleticism. And Max, I think that basically explains why people would be choosing both of these players.
Totally. I mean, the energy thing is what I just need to keep banging the drum on, is that when nothing is on, you can turn to Iwobi. And that's something I think Fulham for too long really lacked. So
Totally agree.
Yeah.
All right. Great show, guys. It's been such a long time since we've done it. I've been busy, and I know it's difficult to get all of our schedules together, but I'm glad that we're able to do this. We need to do it again soon. And it's been a joy. Max, thank you so much for coming back on. I really enjoyed this. I hope you have as well.
Thank you. It's great to be back on. I have exciting news. I'm going over to London for the festive period.
Nice.
Seeing the Arsenal match, but fingers crossed. I'm trying to go to Bournemouth away, but they're only opening up to members tickets the 20th of December. So ticket holders, are going to be out of the country and have tickets. I'm happy to pay to do anything, but just putting that out there for the Cottage Talk family.
Yeah, okay. Let's get Max tickets. Let's do it.
Dean Court.
Okay, Yannis, too long, my friend, and so great to have you back on.
Great to be back, and I'm hoping, as I said, the next 48 hours will tell whether I can. I'd have to do a lot of juggling because school has been pretty mayhemish since the start of the year. But if I can get the chance, because I could stay with my kid for a couple of days as well up there. But it's going to be. You remember? I'm going to take you a long way back, but you remember that last year our first game against Newcastle was the Josh Onuma.
Yes.
Yeah, the Josh Onuma. And we lost 4-1, and Almiron scored that absolute ruddy worldy.
The Chalobah.
Was it Chalobah or Onuma? Oh, it was Chalobah. Oh, yes, you're right. It was Chalobah. Yes, no. I stand corrected. And Almiron scored that worldy. I've got a good impersonation. By the way, I do a decent impersonation of Almiron. Can I do it?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Anyone listening to this will not see what Yannis is doing, but he actually did a very good impression. Very good. Okay. All right. Great show. And again, I want to thank our audience that listened and watched live. Just thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great, and I really appreciate it. I'm sure the guys also appreciate it as well. But I do want to wrap up this episode of Cottage Talk. For Yannis Shanaeus and Max Cohen, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.